Hey, what's up guys? Thank you so much for hopping onto our channel over here. Today we're excited. Just so you know, I mean, obviously most of y'all have probably already watched this movie by now. We are going to be very late with our review over El Camino because we actually bought tickets. There's a few theaters around the place that are actually showing it in theaters.
Yeah, mostly Alamo Drafthouse, I think.
Yeah, and so like we decided, and we were debating for a little bit, like we want to put up early review. So do we want to watch it first on Netflix so we can have our review up early, or what? So after a while, we decided like we'd rather our first experience for the movie be in theaters.
Right.
So. Yeah. Unfortunately, if you want to watch our review early, that's not going to be a possibility. We're not going to have it up any earlier than like Saturday morning, maybe a little bit later. So it kind of depends. So just so you know that. But we decided to have a video before that just to make things up a little bit, to make up things. That was a better way to make up things a little bit. And that is, we are going to rank our favorite scenes from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I've actually been wanting to make this video for a while. Either like a favorite scenes, favorite episodes, favorite moments, all that. I've been wanting to make something about a rank list for Breaking Bad. And thankfully, Vince Gilligan has given us a reason to make this video with the El Camino coming out now.
Yeah. And before we get into this, I really don't think y'all were thinking this, but like, if you're walking into this video thinking that we're not gonna like bring up any spoilers, I don't know what to tell you. We're gonna bring up spoilers. That if we bring up scenes, they're gonna be spoilers. So I just want to warn you before that. If you haven't watched this show, there will be spoilers. Also, if you haven't watched the show, watch it. It's fantastic. And before we start our list, we're gonna go ahead and go with our honorable mentions: Jane's death, the prison murders, and Hank's death. So for our number 8, we're gonna go with the death of Gustavo Fring. This is probably one of the most popular scenes in the whole show. This show didn't really, it doesn't really do what usual shows do, like have like these great last words of a villain or anything like that.
Right.
It was pretty much just like, a scream, you know? Yeah, and it really was a pretty like epic conclusion to that villain.
Yeah, especially since Gus was like the biggest villain of the show. Well, other than technically Walter White, but he was the biggest antagonist of the show. For number 7, we have the last moment with between Walter and Jesse. This one is kind of like, there's a lot of reasons why this one's so great. I mean, it's pretty much the entire series led up to this moment, and you just had Walter kill the entire group of neo-Nazis that killed Hank and all that. And then you had Walt realizing Jesse's been through so much and realizing that he doesn't deserve to die after all the torture he's been through. So, and then as Jesse's driving away, you see, or before he gets off into the car, you see Walt and Jesse just look at each other and just they both give like a silent look at each other. Yeah. Like just saying that, okay, we're good.
Yeah, and like a very slight nod.
Yeah. Because one of the most interesting aspects of Breaking Bad is Walter and Jesse's relationship and just their bond that they have together. So it's nice that they had this silent moment between each other for their last moment together.
For our number 6, we're gonna do the "Stay Out of My Territory" scene. Whenever Walter White he sees some guy trying to buy stuff for like meth, for like making meth. Yeah. And then he runs out to the guy's car and he says, "Stay out of my territory." It's like it's a pretty cool scene. And that scene really is cool because you start seeing Walter White kind of start diving into this new world that he starts living in later on.
Yeah, and you see him. It's the first time you like see him like take charge. Yeah. In this meth business, and you see it starts creeping into his personality that he starts to begin to show. Number 5, we have Walter finds out who Gus is, and this is at the end of one of the final episodes of season 2.
I don't think we're alike at all, Mr. White.
And it really shows how great of a character Gus is, because he's able to flip between the two personalities of what he shows to the public and then what he shows to people he deals with in the meth business. And the entire episode pretty much led up to Walter trying to find out who he's waiting on to meet. Yeah. And he's waiting for so long, and he finally realizes it's Gus.
And to me, it's honestly probably one of the best introductions to these characters on this show, because in just like a few minutes, you realize exactly the character of Gus. You know, because I mean, throughout the episode, he's like talking. He keeps walking up to Walter White, asking him if he's okay. You know, and Walter White can't figure out who he is. But as soon as he walks up there, you know, he starts talking to Walter, because Walter's like, well, we're the same. And Gus is like, no, we're not.
Right.
You know, and it starts showing how careful he is, because he doesn't want to introduce himself right away. He wants to kind of spy on you and make sure you're good to work with. You know, he doesn't want to work with Walter White at the beginning, because Jesse, his partner, is really high whenever he goes up there. For our number 4, we're going to have Tread Lightly.
Then maybe your best course would be to tread lightly.
And this is really cool, because from this part, for a long time, you start realizing, you know, how ruthless and how mean Walter White is.
Right.
You know, but you never really see him being able to do this to the people he cares about. You know, and even though he doesn't really ever do anything horrible to the people he cares about, he does go as far as to subtly threaten Hank. You know, without actually telling him it's him.
Right.
He does slightly threaten Hank, and it really kind of shows how deep he's actually gone into this mind of his.
Yeah, and it's such a great scene, because like the entire show, Hank has been trying to find who Heisenberg is. And the beginning of this episode is when he first finds out that Walter is Heisenberg. And by the end of this scene is at the end of the episode, and Hank is pretty sure it's Walter.
Yeah.
But then when Walt finally says tread lightly, that's when he finally reveals that he actually is Walter, in such a subtle but non-subtle way.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Yeah. Like
it's such a great, and the line delivery is also perfect by Bryan Cranston.
Yeah, the way he says it, it's like a way of him like kind of confessing, but at the same time keeping himself from confessing.
Exactly. Now for number 3, it's kind of hard to explain what the scene is, but it's in season 3, at the end of season 3, when Walter runs over the guys that Jesse's about to kill, and he tells Jesse to run.
Run.
And the reason why I love this scene so much is because, like I said earlier, one of the most interesting aspects of Breaking Bad is the relationship between Walter and Jesse. And this is really the first time it really shows Walter really having a strong bond with Jesse.
Yeah.
Because he pretty much sacrifices his relationship with Gus to protect Jesse. Because he knows Jesse's about to go kill these guys that are using kids to sell drugs and all that. So it's just a great scene. And then it's like one of the first times that Walter has really done like a huge crime. Well, I mean, he did a murder in the first season, but this is the first time that he did it so ruthlessly.
Yeah, exactly. He's really manipulative of Jesse, but at the same time, he cares about him.
Yeah, he kind of sees him as his son in a way.
Yeah, exactly. He kind of sees him that he needs to protect him, but at the same time, he knows that he needs him. So no matter what, he's going to try to protect him and kind of mentally abuse him in a certain way to make sure he stays with him.
Right.
For number 2, we have probably the most famous line from this entire show, which is,
I am the one who knocks.
And this, I guess, I mean, obviously, I would say slightly, you could say it's maybe a little cliche to put it in the very top of your list. But if you really think about it, this one line, and really the whole monologue he gives, it's a great monologue. It really just shows how deep he's got into this, because he's always been this extremely prideful kind of person. And the idea that Skylar, to him, would say, like, you're gonna have our family get in trouble,
right,
kind of almost attacks his ego a little bit.
Yeah.
And so for him, so at this point, he kind of explodes on her, kind of letting her know this. It really shows how big-headed this whole business has made him.
Yeah, and also another an underrated aspect of the scene, because I'm the one who knocks line is like the most famous part. But I also love the part where he says,
I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger.
I just love that scene. It's such an awesome line to say. But also in this scene, I love the colors that they use, which they do. Vince Gilligan uses this throughout the show, using colors to be symbols for the themes of the show. And in this scene, Walter starts off wearing like a light pink shirt, but then he like takes it off into like and it's like a dark red color or a reddish color, just to show that he's going from this like the Walter White that he used to being this dark character as he's doing this monologue. And for number 1, we have the end of Crawl Space. Now, Crawl Space is honestly my favorite episode of Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Just altogether. But really, the end scene is what's so great about it, because there's so much anxiety that's built up to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, honestly, it's one of the most anxious I've felt while watching a TV show or a movie. Because a few scenes leading up to it is when Gus tells Walter that if he tries to talk to Jesse or if he tries to warn Hank that he's about to be killed, then he's going to kill Walter's
Wife, I will kill your son. I will kill your infant daughter.
There's so much stakes to what's going on. And then there's a great scene between Walter and Saul where Saul finally says that he'll call Hank anonymously. So there's that great scene. And so it builds up into this great scene and this great acting in this scene from Bryan Cranston and what's her name? Anna Gunn?
Yeah.
And Anna Gunn, where he realizes that Skylar has given most of his money to Ted,
Yeah.
the guy she had an affair with, which that whole side story is a pretty big story, because
Yeah.
I loved how they built that up from the beginning seasons.
And that's just something else to say about this show, which I don't want to go on too many like tangents here. But this show, whenever you bring up little scenes like that, it's hard not to.
Yeah.
It's really cool how this show doesn't really just add in a subplot for a subplot's sake.
Right.
You know, it's not like, oh no, Skylar's cheating on Walt. Whoa, oh no, what's gonna happen? Like it does. It's not like just she stops sleeping with them and that's the end of it. It's like turns out she gave him all the money.
Yeah.
You know, there's a whole thing with that too, and because he gave her all the money, it connected all the way to this. And so that's honestly one of the greatest things about this show, because it's a lot of shows that will have these subplots, and they'll just do that. They'll just literally have the subplot and they won't really connect to the show. It's just something else because they can't figure out anything else to do.
Yeah, and also the scene kind of, it's kind of the moment where, I mean, of course, Walter White's transition to Heisenberg isn't there's not like a flip of the switch to where he turns into Heisenberg. But if I had to choose a scene where Walter White truly dies and Heisenberg truly begins, is this ending scene of Crawl Space, when he just goes completely insane and starts to laugh maniacally. And
there is one scene I want to bring up now that we're done with our list that I wouldn't necessarily put in the honorable mentions even, but I do want to say I do think this scene is one of the most highly significant scenes in the show, is whenever Walter White kills Mike. If you watch the first season, right, when he kills, I always forget to do Crazy Eight, right? Yeah. In that, they take maybe like a whole, like 2 episodes, I believe. Like
yeah, it's honestly a few episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Oh no, I haven't seen the first scene in a while, but I remember it took a while.
But it takes a long time for him to finally kill Crazy Eight. Like, he's sitting with Crazy Eight, pretty much begging Crazy Eight to give him some reason to not kill him. Mm-hmm. And he's having this whole conversation with him, trying to get to know him. And when he finally realizes that he has to kill Crazy Eight, even though Crazy Eight obviously is this really terrible guy, he's probably killed many people before this. He just tried to kill him and Jesse,
right? You know,
and there's really not really much of a reason to not kill him, because, you know, I mean, other than morality, because it's pretty obvious that he's gonna try to kill him, but he's just trying to think of this thing, and he realizes he has to kill him, and that's extremely devastating for Walter White. And I wouldn't even say that's the beginning of Heisenberg. Yeah. Like that's how far that is from the show. I wouldn't even say that's the beginning of Heisenberg, because it's so devastating to him.
Right.
But then just after a long time, you know, you finally get to Mike. And whenever he kills Mike, he kills him like nothing. Right. And he kills him for almost no reason, really.
Yeah, just because he Mike hurts his ego by yelling at him and saying that he ruined a good thing. So it's it goes to his character of being this egotistical narcissist. Yeah. Even though he kind of used the excuse of he didn't give him the list of names, and then right after he kills him, he's like, I just realized I get the list of names from Lydia. Yeah, right. You know, and so there's that. It's just if you compare those 2 killings,
Just the fact that with Crazy 8, he had a lot of reason to kill Crazy 8. But with Mike, he had none.
Right.
You know, and that just to me, even though I'm saying I wouldn't put that scene in this, I would heavily say that scene is significant to the show, and I don't really hear people talk about it enough to actually convey like how important that scene is to the show. Well, guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Also, comment and let me know. Let me know. Only me.
Me, not you, but me. Every day. So forgive me for not going home to have a good night's rest.
Let us know what you thought about this video, and tell us maybe your favorite scenes from Breaking Bad, your favorite episodes, rank them, you know, and let us know. Also, I'll say this, if you decide to watch this whole thing and you haven't seen Breaking Bad at all, I would actually 100% recommend this show. It's getting a little late there. You already know that Jesse lives, you know, and you probably know by now Walter dies. You probably know a lot of stuff. But if you haven't seen it, watch it. It's honestly, like, it is my favorite show that I've ever seen.
Right.
Like, hands down. And I mean, I'm not really saying that because I'm not really trying to follow the crowd. In fact, I didn't even start watching it until it was already like in its last season. So, right. I mean, I do want to bring that out.
Yeah, and don't forget to follow us on social media. We have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at 2 Awesome Men.
And as always, thank you so much for watching, and you will see us later.